will come from Martin Hoffman with Sport 1 Germany.
Hello, Drew. How you doing?
Hello?
Hello. My first question would be, you're having the biggest match of your career, of your life, and it's like, but it has some bad circumstances with the virus and everything. Have you ever thought for the future that even when it's happening and when it's happened, that there would be a place to kind of revisit it when it is possible to have it back with some fans, like having a rematch with Brock Lesnar at a stadium atmosphere? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not really thinking beyond WrestleMania. I'm very excited and proud that WWE are pushing forward to provide everyone some content and entertainment during these difficult times. And, it's my title match that I've waited for my whole life. It's not ideal circumstances, obviously, but I still am fighting for the title. I'm still very happy that we're able to, give the world something to look forward to this weekend, and that's what makes it just as special. I can't be selfish and think I wish I had all the fans there and cheering me along during the match. And if I'm able to pull off the big victory, having that big moment with the crowd, if I'm able to pull it off and bring everybody a smile this weekend, that's just as big. And I'm not looking beyond the match this weekend. So if we follow it up with a rematch in front of fans, that's cool. If we don't, that's cool too. But my focus is winning the title at WrestleMania this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the match.
Thank you, bud.
And our next question comes from Michael Morales-Torres with Lucha Libre Online.
Hello, Mr. McIntyre. Hope you're doing well with this whole situation. Drew, pro wrestling and sports entertainment at this point evolved into Ricochet, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Daniel Bryan, and many other wrestlers are doing inside of the ring. My dad, Julio Morales, is a huge fan of old school pro wrestling, and Drew McIntyre is an old school style performer who can actually do things from the new school inside the ring. You are inside of the new era, and you, as an old school style wrestler, along with Brock Lesnar, are headlining WrestleMania. And by old school, referring to the importance of taking care of the gimmick, not doing 10 moves that were usually a finisher as a regular move, protecting your signature and finishing move, and being focused on working for the fans while protecting the credibility of this industry, just like wrestlers like Vader and Knox Baker and Haku did at one point. How do you manage to fit the old school style of wrestling inside the new era and still got a huge backup from the fans?
I don't know if I necessarily think of myself as old school or new school. My thing is always just being believable and adapting to my opponent. If I'm in there with somebody who wrestles, if you consider it like new school style, kind of flies all over the place, against me, they're probably not going to do it as many times unless it makes sense within the confines of the match I'm having. And we're going to do it in a very believable manner. Because, that's my thing. The same mentality as like a Bret Hart used to have. When you tune into my match, everything is going to make sense. Everything's going to be believable. And I don't mind if my opponent does wrestle, like you say, a new school kind of style, maybe flies all over the place, maybe is generally doing about 50 flips in a match. Against me, they're probably only going to manage about one if they're lucky, or two. But when it happens, it's going to make sense to the match, and it's going to get the reaction it should get, and it's going to tell the proper story. And I guess if you consider that old school to tell a story, then old school.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And our next question will come from Kenny McIntosh with Sporf.
Hey, Drew, how's it going?
Morning, Kenny. You've asked me about 50 questions.
Well, here's number 51. So I wanted to ask you, like 2.5 weeks ago, we were in London doing an interview. WrestleMania was going ahead in the stadium, and now it's all changed. I wondered how did you find out, and what goes through your mind, and how do you kind of figure out what you're going to do. And then, I mean, from your wrestling background, you've wrestled in front of tiny crowds before to big crowds. Is that an advantage for you that you know how to adapt to different situations?
Well, I found out what was going on probably a few days or a couple of days after I spoke to you. You know, things kind of got crazy around about that time, and obviously my reaction was, you know, disappointment and anger, and God, I can't believe I've waited this long for this opportunity, and it's not going to be the way, you know, I envisioned it. So I had to sit down, have a think about it. I had to talk with the wife about it, realize, you know, there's a bit of a selfish way to look at it. There's, you know, a different situation going on here. This is the world that's suffering here, and we've got a chance to make them happy. We're pushing on. My match especially is a chance to be a feel-good moment, hopefully bring a smile to some faces. So, you know, I was feeling positive about that. And when it comes to the environment, yeah, I have wrestled in front of nobody. When the UK scene was first starting, kind of restarting back in the day when I started, we legit would have about 10 people. That'd be nice to have 10 people in the crowd. So it's not like I've not wrestled in front of nobody before. But at this stage of my career, it's more like, okay, how can we be creative within the confines of our situation? I think Mania itself from top to bottom is going to be pretty unique. I know it's going to be pretty unique. I've kind of described it this way because we've got our Undertaker Boneyard match in the Firefly Funhouse, and you know, so many different settings going on. That it's WWE presents Mortal Kombat WrestleMania this year. And for myself and Brock, you know, it's been a simple story in its build, and sometimes I think we overcomplicate things, and simple is the best story. Two big guys to like to fighting over the title. Who's, you know, the better man? I'll smash you, you smash me. It's been kind of the build, and shockingly, I have the upper hand on Brock Lesnar leading up into this match. And when we actually get to WrestleMania, it's basically a pub fight, a bar fight, and like putting a ring inside of a pub, and two huge guys battling each other, but nobody's allowed in the pub. Like, that's the way I'm looking at it. And also without the crowd there, with the crowd there, no matter what, Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar would be very physical. With the crowd there, you wouldn't hear the strikes. I'm sure you would feel them, like just how hard we lay into each other. But with nobody there, with the cameras picking up all the sound, you know, this is going to be a very physical match. And I think people are going to get into it, not just for hopefully my story and the fact that Lesnar is the most dominant superstar of all time, but the fact that you're literally going to feel everything, because those cameras are going to pick up every hit that we give each other, and we don't hold back. I think you know that just by watching us both.
Well, I can't wait to see you kick his head off. Good luck.
Just get it.
And we'll take our next question from Axel Lefebvre with WFF.
Hi, Mr. McIntyre. Hope you're good. I want to know if you win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 36, and if you could choose your first challenger for your championship, who would you choose and why?
Yeah, I don't really know. I'd just be happy to win it for one, and then I guess I would worry about that next. Who we got on the show? Yeah, I've been pushing AJ Styles for a while. That Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles have never wrestled as many different companies as he's been in, and I've been part of, and independent shows he's wrestled on, and I've been part of, and the amount of times promoters tried to set up the match, and we're like ships in the night multiple times. You know, AJ would certainly be somebody I'd be looking out for. One of my favorite opponents is Seth Rollins. We've tangled a few times, but obviously we're both in different positions right now, so that changes the story dramatically. That might be interesting. Ooh, Jinder's been on the shelf for a while. Let me throw out an interesting one, actually. This will probably make the dirt sheets. You know, Jinder's been on the shelf for a while now, and I'm sure somebody's been looking something interesting to do. We got a lot of real history. He was WWE champion, and people didn't exactly react favorably to his victory. You know, if I'm able to pull off the big one, people have rallied behind me, and you know, he might feel a bit slighted about that. There might be an interesting story there. So let me just throw that out there, because I'm sure then I'll pick that up. And basically, I don't really care. If I can pull it off, I can become WWE champion, become the first ever UK champion. You know, that's a dream of mine, and that's all that really is my focus right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll take our next question from Miguel Perez with Marta.
Hi, Drew. How you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you.
I wanted to ask about.
Perez, please re-ask your question.
Yes, sorry. Drew, I wanted to ask about OVW that the former WWE superstar Wade Barrett during an interview mentioned the years there during training with Sheamus and you. And I wanted to ask if you can tell us about that.
About what? I just missed that end part.
About OVW. Okay.
Can I tell you about OVW? I keep cutting out. Maybe my signal. Anyone else clarify?
Drew, I think that is the question. Yes.
I'm talking about my time in OVW with Wade Barrett.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, OVW was the first place I went to in America. Myself and Wade Barrett were sent to OVW initially. Sheamus went to FCW. We were signed at the same time. So we were in Louisville, Kentucky, which is a bit of a culture shock, to say the least, coming from Scotland. But my time there, we were only there 6 months before it closed, and inevitably Wade and I were moved to FCW. But I got there before Wade, 2 weeks prior. He was getting there in the third week after me, and the writers happened to be there on my second week. They only came every 6 months, apparently. I didn't know this. This was news to me. I was just the new guy. And they needed a body in the ring to work with one of the bad guys there. So they had me hop in the ring, roll around with one of the guys just to show the writers the other guy. Then they had me cut a little promo afterwards on the microphone, just because they asked for it. I never thought anything of it, because all I was in my head was a body to show off the other guy they were coming to see. And then, sure enough, a week later, I got a phone call from Howard Finkel, who used to call the talent, to tell them they're coming on the road, and let me know that I was going to be on the road. I debuted on SmackDown the week that Wade got to America. I think it was the fastest ever developmental to TV WWE superstar ever, so that was pretty crazy. And I found out very quickly that the American style and the TV style was very, very different to the basic European style that we had at the time. So I stayed on the road for 6 months, not on TV most of the time, learning from working with guys like William Regal and Bradshaw when he was making his comeback, and doing a lot of opening matches to kind of brush up on the things I needed to learn. And then inevitably, Wade was also in OVW working with Paul Burchill, getting better. And eventually we went to FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling in Tampa. That's where we really started to learn once we got to FCW.
Okay, thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you.
And our next question will come from Sharon Lee with Straits Times Singapore.
Hi, Drew. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. You had quite a long and winding road to the top in WWE. Are there any things about your past that you would change?
No. Whenever I get asked this question, I always say I wouldn't change a thing. There's things that were unfortunate and things that were unavoidable and things that were avoidable that have happened over the years in my career and in my personal life. But if I changed one thing, the old butterfly effect, it could affect everything and where I'm at right now. So I wouldn't change a thing. It keeps it a very interesting story for my career. I maybe would not have met my current wife. So no, I wouldn't change a thing. It's going to make a really good book one day, hopefully a movie adaptation, and make sure you check out the WWE Chronicle. It'll debut tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's before or after WrestleMania, but they started filming me at Royal Rumble all the way to WrestleMania. So they see me with 40,000 people, the reaction, and then you see what happens as time passes, and eventually I get told that WrestleMania is going to be the Performance Center. So yeah, there's more twists in this documentary than a M. Night Shyamalan movie, so make sure you check it out.
Thanks a lot, Drew.
Thank you.
And our next question will come from Sabrina Belmomene with Voxcatch.
Okay. Hello, Drew. I hope you're doing well, especially during these difficult times. My question is that after your first WWE run, you've had some time in the independent wrestling scene before coming back for a second run. What changes have you noticed coming back in the locker room and the way things were handled?
Experienced ones. And that was kind of a big thing for me coming back as well, was especially going to NXT first, as I wanted to be a leader and help people around me to, with the positives, but also maybe don't do some of the negative things that I did. And coming back, I certainly noticed that, I was one of the more experienced ones, and the guys on top were people that had come through FCW. So, that was interesting, but everyone's done a great job. And just overall, I think that the locker room, talent-wise, there's never been a better time for in-ring performers in WWE history. And I think once everybody finds their groove, we're going to have a hell of a roster from top to bottom, because we do already, but we're just going to get better and better with the talent we have.
Thank you very much, Drew. Good luck for your match at WrestleMania.
Thank you.
And our next question will come from Joe Brophy with The Sun.
Hi, Drew. Hope you're well.
Good, brother. How are you?
I was just wondering, obviously, when this whole lockdown is over and say you get to be the first British champion, I was wondering if you had it in your mind what you'd like to do when you finally came back to the UK. Would it just be some quiet celebrations in Scotland? Would it be visit every pub down the UK with the belt?
No, if I can pull this off, I've told some of the guys already, like at BT Sports, that I want to do the biggest, craziest celebration ever. I mean, I'll have a private one, quiet one with my family, of course, but yeah, I want to shout it from the rooftops if I can pull this off. This has legitimately been, my lifelong dream to even get a shot. But if I can pull it off, and the idea that I'd be the first, I didn't realize I was the first, British or UK Royal Rumble winner until after the match, because I was so focused on trying to become the first ever guy from Britain to win the WWE title. So I was, oh my God, I can't believe I made history in wrestling. That's such a cool thing. And if I can do this, I want to shout it from the rooftops in the UK. I want to get on all the major, TV stations there and talk about it, so that people in the UK, start tuning in. Like BT Sports have been really a great partner. They've been pushing the product really hard. Sky Sports weren't exactly pushing WWE very hard, and the numbers showed it. But BT Sports are really behind it, and I want the interest in the UK to be picking up, because it's on fire, the scene right now. And I think, if I get over there and I show, hey, one of our own has done good and won the title, then maybe I can finally fulfill my ultimate dream. Aside trying to win the WWE title, I want a bloody big pay-per-view in the UK, and I want to make sure it happens. So I'm going to have to get down there and shout it from the rooftops, so the UK demand it to happen.
Thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you, bud.
And we'll take our next question from Daniel Marland with Sport Bible.
Hiya, Drew. You all right?
Oh, magic, mate.
Good. Just wanted to ask, a few weeks ago on Raw, you had a few interactions with MVP, and it helped you show, obviously you've always had personality, but it helped you to show a comical side. Do you think, obviously it's not your character, but do you think it is good to make you a bit more endearing to the WWE universe?
Yeah, and, he's someone actually I'm good friends with, known a long time, and he's very comfortable on the microphone, so it was an easy situation just to kind of be myself. But that's kind of been the biggest thing for me over the past few months, is that I was kind of given the all clear, go out and just be yourself. I saw a little bit of it when I was messing around with Ric Flair. I'd get in the ring when he announced me as the final member of Team Flair, and he was telling me to pose, and I was messing around with him, and I had a match with Ricochet when Hogan and Flair were ringside, which was pretty crazy as well. And I was just, again, Flair shouting instructions, so I just kept messing around and mess with Hogan, and I was told, hey, keep down that path. And eventually I was given the microphone and told, just be yourself. You don't have to be this big, angry Scottish guy anymore, which I didn't enjoy at the time, because one, it wasn't really me, and two, nobody can relate to that, except the one other big, hairy Scottish guy in Scotland. He gets me. But finally I was able to, show, my real personality, which is a bit silly, a bit sarcastic. I might say a few jokes that bomb, but that's okay. That's true in real life as well. But, I get to show that side. And the crowd responded and went, okay, I can understand this guy. I can relate to this guy. But when the bell rings, I'm still the arse kicker I've always been. And I think that was a big thing of the final pieces coming together, what I was missing to finally get to that next level. And thankfully, the pieces fell into place in that jigsaw right before the Royal Rumble.
Thanks very much, Drew. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, mate.
And we'll take our next question from Nick Durbano with Herald Sun.
Hey, Drew, how's it going?
Good, but how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Just a bit of researching into this, and I believe if you're able to beat Brock this weekend, you'll be only the 7th person to beat him since his comeback in 2012, and the names that have beaten him in that period of time are all future or current Hall of Famers. How would it feel to sit among those 6 guys as the 7th only in about 8 years to have beaten the Beast?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's nobody like Brock Lesnar, never has been, probably never will be. You know, just such a freak athlete in general, but such a protected character. And, you know, on him, how he presents himself. Like, he is so unpredictable, and when somebody beats him, it is, you know, a big deal. So the fact that, you know, I've been kind of getting the upper hand, but generally when Brock Lesnar's going into a match with somebody, Paul Heyman talks a big game, Lesnar kills them every single week. Eventually in the match, Lesnar beats them, or they somehow pull off the victory. And usually they just eke out the victory. So it's been a very interesting way we've gone about this, that he got me one time with an F5 after the Rumble from behind. But the last time we actually were face-to-face, I dropped him 3 times. Which, one, Brooklyn seemed to enjoy. 2, was kind of shocking to everybody. And then when he finally showed back up to work, I wasn't there. Paul Heyman did what he usually did, painted a marvelous picture. Brock stood there angry. And then the following week was the last week's Raw, the last Raw before WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar shows up again. Drew McIntyre must be there. The last time we saw him, he dropped Brock Lesnar 3 times. They must have some kind of interaction. Brock's standing there angry. I'm not there again. The next time we touch, not going to be till WrestleMania. And I think that's very interesting. That, one, that's the last image for everybody, the last image for Brock, last image going into the match. And most important of all, I made Brock Lesnar show up to work 2 weeks in a row. So it's not my first day, playing some mind games here.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Drew, and good luck for Sunday.
Thank you, mate.
We're going to go into our last question now. This is our last question. Thank you.
And our last question will come from James Richardson with The South African.
Hi, Drew. Greetings from South Africa. The WWE tour to South Africa was postponed until September. We're not even sure if it's going to happen then. But when it does happen, is that something you'd be interested in getting in on? Do you be interested in a trip to South Africa?
I did a bunch of promos for it. And I'm disappointed we're having to hold off. Obviously, completely understandable, but you know, I've never been before, so I was very excited to be going to South Africa, and it's going to happen. Just a matter of time, and it's unfortunate it's not going to be so soon, because I was excited when I did the interviews for it. But when we do get to come, I'm going to definitely be checking out the local sites. I've never been on a safari before, so I'll be doing that for sure. I'm excited to meet all the fans, and that's the thing whenever we travel and to places that we don't get very often. The fans are wild. They're so passionate and loud for the shows that whenever fans get into it, you can usually tell, you know, when the wrestlers are into it, which is most of the time we're into the match. But if the fans are louder, you can see us get into it a little more. And if they're really crazy, really loud, then we're super into it and we're giving more than 100%. So I know that it's going to be a wild show. And also, personal reasons, I'm excited to check out the local sites.
Well, hope to see you in Cape Town.
Awesome. Thank you, bud. Can't wait to come.
Thank you, everyone, so much for your questions. I guess a final word should always go to Drew. Drew, why do you think your match included with everything else, why should people be tuning in to WrestleMania this weekend?
I mean, for one, I think everyone should be tuning in because it's going to be such a unique WrestleMania for, you know, all the wrestling fans out there. And for those that aren't necessarily wrestling fans who are stuck in the house and are looking for some entertainment, you know, that's the thing I'm most proud of, is we're bringing some unique original content. If they've never checked out the show before, this is the time to check it out. Like, WWE are really going all out to bring something different to get, and it's also over 2 days. Like, your Saturday covered, your Sunday covered. If you enjoy Saturday, you can get Sunday also. Enjoy WWE Presents Mortal Kombat. And most of all, 19 years, the Drew McIntyre journey, many ups and many, many downs. I've been 10 feet under. I was never starting from scratch when I got fired. I dug my way up 10 feet. I started from scratch, worked my way to the main event of WrestleMania for the WWE title against Brock Lesnar. I'm going to give the world a reason to smile and win the WWE title when the world stood still. Make sure you check it out.